Hello, leader. Welcome back to the next installment of 5 tips to care for your crew. And today we're going to be talking about a different idea, a new tip. But before we do that, let me go back to the last 2 sessions. The very first one, we actually talked about an introduction. It was the big idea of leaders, that we're all leaders, we're called to lead, and leading is caring. And we looked at Romans chapter 12 and how Paul encourages us to put ourselves on top of the altar, to make our lives a sacrifice. And a lot of times leading is sacrifice. It's hard, it's not fun. We have to give up things that we want to do to lead the people that God's put into our lives. And not only are we leading, but we're caring for them. We're caring for them by weeping with those who weep and rejoicing with those who rejoice. Well, that was the first session. The second session, we talked about our first tip. The first tip is time. We want to give time over the course of time. That's how we really lead and care for people. And we see that in the life of Jesus and how he lived with his disciples for 3 years to make the difference that he does that eventually changes the world. Well, today I want to talk about our next tip. And our next tip, number 2, is consistency. The way that we lead, that we care for people, is that we're consistent. And in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 58, Paul encourages us to be strong and immovable, or another word is steadfast, to do this time after time after time after time, to lead in that manner. And that's my encouragement for us as leaders, to care for people consistently. And I want to use 2 analogies for you to get this thought across. The first one is parenting. And I found as my kids are getting older that the best way to parent is to have my face show up in their space, to be at the places, to be a part of the things that they care about. I have a son who loves math, and so he's a part of the mathletics program at school. If I show up at his mathletic events, he cares. He knows that I care about him, and it allows me to have influence in his life. I have another son who loves soccer, and if I show up at his practices, at his games, when we talk about it, it shows that I care. And if I'm consistently there, game after game, practice after practice, and we have these discussions, I begin to have influence in his life. And so we want to do the same thing with the people that we're leading. We want to show that we're there, that we care for them, that we're there meeting after meeting, that we're sending texts, that we're showing up for coffee, that we're doing the things that it takes to show that we care consistently. The second thought really goes along with that, and it's this little app that I have on my phone. It's called Acorns. And really it's not about an app, it's more about a system of saving. And it's a roundup method. And so anytime I go to the store and I spend a few dollars, it rounds up to the next dollar and deposit that into an account that I have that then makes savings in the stock market. So it buys stocks with these little bits of money. And the idea is that these little acorns of savings will then soon grow up to be, over the long course of time, grow up to be a mighty oak tree of something that I'm going to have for the rest of my life when I'm ready to retire. Well, the same thing is true for the people that we lead. When we consistently show up in their lives, when we are making our face show up in their space, when we have these moments, these small moments of consistency, we reap the benefits of being able to make withdrawals from their life. When we go to coffee, when we shoot them texts, when we have them come to our meetings, when we show up at their house in their times of crisis, it gives us an opportunity to make these small deposits so that when we challenge them to make a change, when we make requests of them on what it means to follow Jesus, we're making these big withdrawals, but they're ready to have those withdrawals come out of their lives because they know that we care, because we've made these small deposits over the course of time. So here's my last challenge, my last thought for you as a leader, and when it deals with consistency, is are you available on a regular basis? Are you available to text? Are you available to talk? Are you available on those weekly meetings? Are you available to connect with the people that you're leading? And if you're not, what does it mean to become more available so that you can eventually speak into their lives, challenge those people who are following you to make a difference for Jesus. Well, that's really what leadership is about, right? Leadership is about caring. And so my encouragement for you today is to be consistent in the lives of the people that you're leading. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time on 5 Tips to Care for Your Crew.